Back from Florida.
Sure. So on here you have some that we already went over. You have some we have not went over. Starting next week, you hear me talk about a young man who was a surgeon. His name was Dr. DeBakey. Dr. DeBakey and Dr. Cooley got into it a lot of times. At the end, they ended up getting along. Both of them were vascular surgeons. They dealt with hearts. You hear about their different instruments that they put in here. He started off with his own instruments. One of the few that started off naming instruments after himself. This is a DeBakey. They come shorter than this, but this is a long DeBakey. It's called a DeBakey. You have two instruments here. They are still forceps. They look different than one. The girl with the booty and the breast is a Ferris Smith. She got the booty and the hips. Booty and hip is Ferris Smith. This is a Bonnie. Ferris Smith, Bonnie. Boy is what?
Bonnie.
Bonnie. Booty with the hips.
Ferris Smith.
There you go. You already had these here. You had one smooth forceps. Now you have a smooth. You have a tissue forceps with teeth. This one here is a tissue without. This is one with. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
You already had one number 3 knife handle. If I put this one here and it's longer, it's still a what?
It's a knife handle.
But it's a number what?
7.
Don't get confused. I only said one thing. I said
Number 3.
you have a number 3 short knife handle standing there. And right next to it is something that looks exactly the same. It's just longer. It's considered a what? A number 3 long knife handle. Next to the number 3 long knife handle is a number 7 knife handle. Number 7 knife handle.
Okay.
This one is a beaver knife handle. It's a beaver knife that goes on there. Here you have some scissors, Some you know, some you don't know. Some you're familiar with. This is called a Pot Smith scissors. Pot Smith. It's primarily used in vascular. It can also be used in other procedures too. But this is primarily used in vascular. It's always in a vascular set. But it can also be put in other sets too. This is a curved iris. Curved iris comes exactly like all these other instruments. This one is curved. It means we got another one that can be what? Straight. This long Metson bomb you already know. Here is a Knight scissors. K-N-I-G-H-T. It is used in ENT surgery. It goes in your nose. For the curvature of going in your nose and going all the way in the back. Here we have our forceps. We have our clamps. We know these 3 clamps. All of these we already know. We've already went over. This one here we just added. It's called an Ochsner-Kocher clamp. I know it looks like a long hemostat. It's not. It has a tooth. That's the difference. See the difference? Ochsner-Kocher. O-S-H. O-S-H-C-N-E-R. Kocher. K-O-C-H-E-R.
That little knob is the tooth.
Yep, those 2 teeth. Right here, you have an instrument that has 3 different names. I'm only going to give you the first 2 today. It's called a tonsil and adenoid, and it's called a Beckman. Beckman and tonsil and adenoid. Here, you have an instrument we already knew. I put them together because I wanted you to be able to look at the difference. This one is a what? Kelly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when a Kelly is short, it's short Kelly. But when you see a long instrument that looks exactly like that short Kelly, it's now called a Pion. P-E-O-N. You will also see instruments that looks just like this. The difference in those and this one does not have a teeth. So when I add the ones next week that has one on there and you look at it and say that's the Pion, I'm going to say,
No, it's not.
because you're going to open it up and you're going to see the tooth in between there. So when they're short, it's called a what?
Kelly.
When it's long, it's called a what?
Pion.
We already know these 2 here. This one is called a what? When it's got a Raytech inside of it? Sponge stick. This is a Raytech. When it's added to this Forester, it's called a sponge stick. When it doesn't have any Raytech one there. It's called a Forester. Do you see this blue? That's the
Yes.
radio pack.
Okay.
That's the radio pack that I was talking about. Yep.
Okay.
This one here is another clamp. It's called a right angle, a mixter, or a Gemini. It's called a right angle, mixter, or Gemini. What is it called?
Right angle,
A
mixture,
or
or Gemini.
Right angle, mixter, or Gemini. You have two. What are these called? Needle holders. You have one here. It's just a regular needle holder. I added a curved one. It's called a Crowdwood needle holder. Crowdwood. CRILEWOOD. Crowdwood needle holder. Coming up to here. We already know what this one is. It's the Wheatlander. Next to the Wheatlander is a Gelpie.
Is that a
This one,
Yep.
this is wonderful. It helps out a lot. Yep.
Is that rib spreader?
Nope. This is a Balfour. This is a Balfour bladder blade. Bladder blade.
So that holds the
Blade. This pushes everything. And these are the blades that pull. We nut hose it in place. And that's usually a screw here.
And what's it called again?
This is a Balfour. BALFOUR.
Balfour.
It has a bladder blade, and it's also gonna have, this is your bladder blade, but it's also gonna have blades that go on here that come in different sizes. Here we have a what? Harrington, but it's also called a sweetheart.
Okay.
Harrington or sweetheart. These we already went over. These two here are new. They kind of look the same, but they're not. This is called a Ragnell, RAGNELL. This is called a Sen, SENN,
It's sharp.
and dull. It is also what? Is that a handheld or a self-retained?
Handheld.
Handheld. That's it for today. Next week, I'll either, my other class, I'm gonna do probably the same thing. It'll be categorized. This is the main objective of what you'll see in a basic minor, basic major, basic minor, or general 1 or general 2 tray. Those trays are all the same deck trays. The only difference is certain hospitals call them certain things. You may have a basic minor or basic major. You may have a journal 1, you may have a journal 2. Some of them combine them all together. Some of them have them separate. If you have a basic minor, you'd only have same instruments, but a lesser amount of these same instruments. Basic major will be same instruments, but more of these same instruments and more sizes. So next week I'll either do GYN or ENT. I haven't decided which one. This table will still be the same. When it's time to do your test, I think in 2.5 weeks or so, 3 weeks or so. They won't be in this order, but they will be in this, like they will be these. And I'll either add GYN or ENT. ENT be a set area. It'll all be ENT instruments, or it'll be GYN. Same thing. Okay.
So when you were saying in the surgery room, when the way it's usually set up, are these on wheels or they're stationary?
What?
The tables that have the
Mayo
equipment.
stands
No, that
for the table.
The tables at what?
In the surgery, in the OR room.
Does it have wheels on it?
Yeah. or
Yeah.
are they- yeah.
Oh, you got to move the table.
Okay.
Position it a different way.
Okay.
Certain positions, certain surgeries consider you to have certain positions. You're doing surgery that in between the legs for a male or female. I can't be on the side or on the back or the top. I got to be where?
In
At the
between.
foot,
Mhm.
because he's at the foot. So I got to be at the foot too. That means my table has to come from wherever it was stationary in that surgical area that was considered sterile and pull to a spot that's going to be positioning better for me and him. For me to get there. It's my access. This is my table. It's my access. Any questions?
No.
All right.
Do I ever want to see us